We basically did just talk about Brock Bowers for almost 30 minutes. I was not
Yeah.
joking, but I mean, he deserves it because he is that type of prospect. He is awesome. But let's talk about some other tight ends in this class. And really, my question to you is like, does anyone else really matter here? Here's a few other names I've heard some hype over. Jatavian Sanders from Texas, who I've seen a decent bit of Jatavian just because I've studied. Charles is shaking his head for the YouTube folks. They see it for the podcast folks not seeing Charles just shake his head. Jatavian Sanders from Texas, who I've seen a good bit of because I've unfortunately watched a lot of Texas offense. Theo Johnson, who's a classic Penn Stater, no production, not really a big resume, but a freak show athlete. And then I've seen some like late hype for Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State. So tell me, Charles, about the rest of this tight end class.
Sanders is someone that I almost felt biased like when I started watching this tape because, there's like this lull in draft season, like right before the combine, where people are just starting to dig into the tape of guys. And, I saw people posting like, oh, could Jatavian Sanders be better than Brock Bowers? And I was like, there's no way.
Just go outside.
There's no way.
Stop
like,
it.
I got to check this guy out. And no, he's not. And then, he kind of hurt himself at the combine by running a good deal slower than I think people thought he did. So I'm not really sure about his draft prospects. I think after the combine and his style of play, they don't really mesh. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes like late day 2 or even early round 3. Ben Sinnott from Kansas State is pretty interesting. There's like this group of not Brock Bowers tight ends in this class that are still pretty good athletes, and can be guys that like do damage with the ball in their hands. And Ben Sinnott's a guy who tested pretty well. I think his game is pretty well rounded as more, at times more of a classic tight end where you're going to get some blocking value, you're going to get some receiving value, but it's not like dynamic in the same way that Brock Bowers is. And another guy that's not one of these three, but I think has a pretty good chance to be a top 100 pick is Jared Wiley from TCU. He's like a 6'6", 255-pound tight end that almost hit a 4.5 in the 40-yard dash. And to be clear, I didn't watch any TCU during the season except for that first game they had against Colorado, so I wasn't too familiar with him until the combine happened. Then I went back and watched, and there's some like goofy Big 12 defense stuff going on there where, you're going to see the handful of times a game that no one's just going to cover you. But I think in terms of like just developmental prospects and someone who can be kind of a weapon early on, maybe in more manufactured ways where you can get like use of their athleticism, I think Jared Wiley fits. Not to say that he would do this, but I could see, or not to say that he would turn out to be this player, but I could see someone like Jared Wiley having a rookie year impact like George Kittle, where, okay, the full route tree might not be here yet, but if we can get you open and kind of get you in a spot where you can catch on the run and make use of that size, make use of that speed, you can kind of be a weapon. And even guys who didn't really pan out, like Austin Hooper, he had the same kind of impact his first year with the Falcons, where he was just kind of like this third option that they used to punish defenses when they were, looking a little bit too hard at Julio and Sanu. So, it like I said, it's not, none of these guys are Brock Bowers in terms of just the overall complete game wow factor, but Sinnott and Wiley are two guys that I would probably circle as like the next group of guys who could have pretty productive careers.